with the wind. Released in 1939, and it's directed by Robert Fleming, who also directed another famous movie that year, 1939. Can you guess what it is? The Wizard of Oz. Jesus Christ! Two of the biggest iconic films of all time in the same year, directed by the same guy. That dude was set for life. And this film stars Vivian, Leigh, Clark Gable, Leslie Howard, Olivia de Havilland, and Hattie McDaniel. And this film comes as a recommendation from one of my fans, one of my co-workers, Kristen Weissner. You wanted to torture me, didn't you? It's pre-Civil War in 1861, and Scarlett O'Hara lives on her family's plantation called Tara. Scarlett O'Hara is madly in love with this dude named Ashley. But Ashley is in love with another woman, his cousin. And they say chivalry is dead. But Ashley goes off to fight for the Confederacy for the Civil War, along with all the other men in the Confederacy. All except Rhett Butler, played by Clark Gable, who has taken his own fancy to Scarlett O'Hara. So over the next several decades, which is how long this film felt like it was going, Rhett Butler pursues Scarlett O'Hara until eventually they marry. And then it gets to the point where he says, well, frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn. I can't help but talk like that. Everyone talked like that in this movie. But starting off on that point, Clark Gable, Rhett Butler, was there anyone cooler, more slick, or more suave at that time than Clark Gable? This guy comes on screen and he commands the space. All attention goes directly to him, regardless of the costuming, the cinematography. When his face is on screen, everyone, zhit, Clark Gable. And what an interesting character Rhett Butler is. He fancies Scarlett O'Hara. Why? We never know. He just does. And he'd really go to any lengths to make her happy. But the funny thing about Scarlett O'Hara is that she is never happy. And I said it last video for my teaser for this review, I hate Scarlett O'Hara. I was hoping maybe my mindset would change a little bit here. And there are points, yes, where she is tolerable, but overall, I absolutely loathe this character. This woman just has death following her wherever she goes. All because she can't get what she wants, and that's Ashley's hand. But she can't have Ashley, so she betroths herself to these other men who get killed off in the war. And when she's supposed to be in mourning, oh, she doesn't give a two shits about this guy who died for her. Is that a redeemable character? Not to me. And heck, even when she gets with Rhett Butler in the second half of the movie, she's not marrying him because she loves him. She is marrying him because he is rich. And she was sick and tired of being poor for the last couple of years. Oh, Rhett, take me away from here. Buy me anything I want. Get me any clothing that I want. Put me in that mansion. Buy me that horse. For those of you who haven't seen this movie, I am not exaggerating. It's all me, me, me. I want, I want, I want. And if I have to listen to one more melodramatic, fake crying, I'm gonna fucking lose it. Oh, Ashley, don't go away. Tell me you love me. Oh, God. All right. I feel like I'm just bashing on this film, which I really can't do 100%. Because what surprised me the most about watching this movie this time around is the first half. I was really in awe, mainly in part due to the technical aspects of this film. The use of Technicolor here for this time it's gorgeous. It's still gorgeous, and it's unheard of back then. We only started getting sound in films for the past decade, but now we're seeing this film that is so grand in scope. I was just in shock. It was beautiful. The burning of Atlanta, the backdrops, the amount of extras that they had on this film. Nowadays, you can CGI as many people as you want in the background just to beef up the scene. Back then, no. Every single one of these people were paid by the studio who were meant to be in this picture. That scene of Scarlett O'Hara walking through all the wounded soldiers from the war, it kind of brought a tear to my eye. This new art form getting its roots in America at this time, and to see so many people employed by this art form and so many people wanting to be a part of it. Yeah, it's actually kind of making me tear up right now. And nowadays we take for granted just the arts in general, and seeing it back then, yeah, this film definitely deserved to win Best Picture. It won Director, Screenplay, and it won Best Supporting Actress. Which other kudos goes to this movie? Hattie McDaniel, the first African-American to win an Academy Award. This is 1939. Unthinkable, unheard of. Almost 30 years before Martin Luther King, almost 30 years before Rosa Parks decided not to give up her seat on a bus. Here is this African-American woman being recognized nationwide for her amazing work in this film. And the first couple of times seeing this film, I was thinking, really? She won the Oscar? I don't remember her doing that much. This time around, I eat my words. She definitely deserved that Oscar. So like I said, the first part, I am loving this movie due to the costuming, the colors, the grand scope of everything. Then the intermission hits, and we come back for Act 2. And everything is darker, it's more depressing, and we get more of Scarlett O'Hara. I shouldn't say I completely hate Scarlett. There were points in this film where I felt myself liking her more than what I have in previous viewings. She starts off, she's this whiny little brat who wants, and when she doesn't get what she wants, she cries and cries and cries. But there are points in this film where you see her grow up, you see maturity start to take form in her. And it really hits home, really at the end of Act 2 with the death of her mother. Spoiler alert for a film that was released in 1939. And something interesting I found was that she worked as a nurse in the hospital helping wounded soldiers coming back from the Civil War, from the battlefronts. And she's walking through these fields of just wounded, crying out soldiers, arms being amputated, bullet wounds being stitchered. But she doesn't notice the death at all. It doesn't hit her up until she sees the body of her mother. And all of a sudden you see it. That's what death looks like. And I want to say it's because she is so self-centered that she doesn't recognize all of the death around her when she's walking through the hospital. But I feel like a lot of us have that mentality when it comes to those situations in our lives. But it doesn't click into your mind that, no, this person has expired. They are no longer existing here on this earth. And we really don't realize that until it happens to someone that we know and that we love and care for. And I just love the visible switch that we see in Scarlett. Whiny brat all of a sudden to this stoic, I have to be the breadwinner of this family and this plantation. Then, of course, part 2 completely undoes that when Rhett Butler takes her away and buys her everything that she wants. Up to the point where he finally realizes that, oh yes, she is never going to love me as much as she loved Ashley. She just loves me for my money. You know what? I'm going to leave. And he says his famous don't give a damn line, and I'm like, good for you, sir. Good for you! Even though you are kind of a son of a bitch too, and you raped your wife in the middle of this movie. They don't show anything, but that's definitely what happened. Almost none of these characters are redeemable. All except for Mammy. She is the one loyal constant in this film. Maybe that's why she won Best Actress. Which actually brings me to another point. It was a little unsettling just how glorified this film was making the South seem. Men of honor, there was chivalry, it was a paradise. Because my viewpoint on it is that they had slavery, which I think trumps everything. But this movie made it seem like these African-American slaves loved being African-American slaves. And maybe there were a few instances where that was the case, but I'm pretty sure the wide consensus was that everyone hated slavery who was enslaved. So to see a film that glorifies that and presents it in a way to where it was such a great place to live, I'm sorry, not buying what you're selling. I do appreciate, though, this film's presentation of the glorification of war. When the movie first starts out, all these young men are running off to war because they're gonna fight and they're gonna win and they're gonna be independent. And I feel whenever a war starts, that's what the mentality is. Society, the people going off to war are so positive, they're so gung-ho, they're ready to fight. But in reality, there is nothing really glorified about war. War is hell on earth. That is a true statement. When you're on the battlefield and you just see death for miles and miles and miles, bullets zipping past you, explosions going off anywhere. Not a place I'd want to be. And I love the way that this film presented those soldiers coming back from the war and how much humanity it just took out of them. Really seeing all of them deal with some kind of PTSD. You go off to fight, you survive, the war is over, now you have to find your place back in the society. A struggle that is still happening today. So I like that aspect of the movie. Just that fucking Scarlett O'Hara. Well guys, in the end, I'd have to say Gone with the Wind, it is a film lover must view it. Anyone who is a fan of film, who wants to do movie criticism, or wants to go into making films, you have to see Gone with the Wind. It is a technical achievement just beyond your wildest dreams for that time period. The grand spectacle of it was something we hadn't really seen on the movie screen yet. Some of the social commentaries, the costuming is absolutely gorgeous. That has stood the test of time. The gowns, the dresses, the suits, it almost brings a tear to my eye just thinking how gorgeous they were. It also reminds me of the Carol Burnett show when she parodied the robe that Scarlett O'Hara wore walking down the staircase. I will never forget that with the curtain rod coming through.
Starlet, I love you. That gown is gorgeous.
Thank you. I saw it in the window and I just couldn't resist it.
And you have some great performances from Clark Gable and Hattie McDaniel. Just that fucking Scarlett O'Hara. Probably my least favorite character in all of film. There is nothing redeemable about her. Tell me, what do you like about her if you love her so much? What do you love? Is it her looks? Is it the dresses that she wears? Is it the way she does her hair up? Because it's certainly not her personality. And if it is, I want you to comment below. Please tell me why you love Scarlett O'Hara if you do. Or if you're on my end, please comment below and give me some gratification about it. But I'm done. I'm done talking about her. I've talked about her enough. This is a technical masterpiece of a film with the performance of Scarlett O'Hara. Okay, I think I have it. I'm gonna give Gone with the Wind 3.5 out of 5 Blu-rays.
I am above average.
Don't crucify me, please. So thank you very much, Kristen, for recommending this. I actually really did enjoy watching it this time. If any of you have recommendations of films that you want me to review on here, please comment below this video or go to my Facebook page, my Instagram, or my Twitter. Leave your recommendation there, and if I have access to it, I will watch it and review it and give you a shout out here on my channel. So now comes my favorite part in my video where I randomly select which movie I'm going to be watching next. Let's take a look. Oh, yay! The Majestic. I love this movie. And I love whenever Jim Carrey goes dramatic. Really, any comedic actor goes dramatic. Because, in my opinion, comedians, I think, make better actors. Because it's much harder to convey a comedic performance than it is a dramatic one. So when you take that type of talent and you put it into a dramatic role, yeah, they're probably going to kill it. But I love this movie because when I started getting into watching films, this movie is about running a movie theater and really kind of glorified the whole idea of running your own movie theater for me. To the point where at one point when I retired, that was my dream job. Just to open up my very own one-screen small town movie theater and run like 1 or 2 movies throughout the week. That just seemed like my overall dream growing up. That is so impossible to do now with streaming services and how basically movie theaters just don't make money unless you're selling concessions anymore. But it's a film about Hollywood, it's a film about movies, it's also a film about patriotism and McCarthyism. Standing up for what you believe in and standing up for the Constitution. Standing up for what you believe in and standing up for the Bill of Rights. So I'm definitely looking forward to watching this one again. I haven't seen it in many years, but I remember watching it a lot going through middle school and high school. So everyone, have you seen Gone with the Wind? What did you think about it? Or if you've never seen it before and you stumbled across it because of this video, please comment below, let me know what you thought. And when you're done commenting, please like and subscribe to my channel so you know the next time I post my next movie review. So everyone, I will see you next time with my review of The Majestic. So in the meantime, be well, be good to each other, and go watch a movie. Take care, guys.